Coming up tonight, government signs MoU with China Railway to dredge the Navua River. Western Division returns to normalcy, and new resident High Commissioner presents credentials. Good evening, I'm Sandra Asa. A partnership between the government of Fiji and China Railway First Group was signed today to undertake a major dredging project. With $4 million for the dredging of the Navua River, government will spend around $60 million to dredge other rivers around the country. The MoU was signed between Primary Industry Permanent Secretary Mason Smith and China Railway First Group, Fiji Limited, for the dredging of the Navua River.
In 2010, the China Railway First Group was awarded the Navua River dredging works. This work involved dredging 1.2 kilometers and the removal of 1.5 million cubic meters, which was completed in time and within the allocated budget. Government, in recognizing the timely completion and standard of workmanship, has given its approval for the award of the contract to China Railway First Group for the Navua River dredging works. The president of China Railway First Group, Mr. Sun Yonggang, represented the company during the signing. River dredging is a high socio-political issue for the government as a flood mitigation strategy to reduce the risks and impacts of flooding.
The recent floods and the devastation that occurred in the Western Division has resulted in damages not only to the agriculture sector, but also to infrastructures, utilities, livestock, and indeed human beings.
Mr. Mason Smith said that these highlighted the need to improve and maintain the river systems to cope with periods of extreme and intensive rainfall.
Since its introduction in the 1980s, dredging of major rivers in Fiji has become a national program and has now been given priority by the Department of Agriculture.
With schools resuming classes in the Western Division this week, the Health Ministry is urging evacuees to also help out in cleaning these schools. Our Fiji News crew, which is currently in the Western Division, has been assessing the cleanup and filed this report.
As life returns to some form of normalcy in the Western Division after the recent floods that brought havoc to both the Western and Central Divisions, students of Kamendra Bharatiya School, Nandi and St. Bede's College have been part of the cleanup process of their school. While some were able to make it to classes this week, the Education Ministry has also advised that sending children to school is dependent on parents, provided that no damages were sustained to either their property or locality. All in all, essential services such as water and electricity have been restored with the announcement from the Fiji Electricity Authority and the Water Authority of Fiji. Along Nandi town, workers continue to clear up the debris washed up by the floods, a sight common amongst many of the townships along the Central and Western Division. While some schools did not suffer from the impact of the floods, this school in particular showed signs of the flood water level on its walls, as well as its science equipment, which showed similar signs. While businesses try to pick up the pieces, some are still reeling from the effects of the last flood.
We've been through several floods in Nandi in the last 6 years. I think it's probably the 9th flood that we've had, although only the 3rd one that has actually come into the cafe. 2009 we thought was the worst, that it couldn't get worse than that, and that was about 1.5 foot inside the cafe. We were very lucky at that time. And also because of the location, we're at the highest point of the town. So, the rest of the town were very badly affected. And after that, we had another flood that, was only like 6 inches in the cafe, so not too much damage, just getting the mud and the water out onto the veranda and cleaning up, and we were in business again. But this last one, it just took us completely by surprise. And the water level rose so fast that my husband and one other person who was in the cafe hardly had time to put, some of the bigger equipment up. And I think it was more the rate at which the water level rose that really baffled everybody and ruined things. And what was worse, eventually it was like 4 feet of water, I think, inside the cafe. 3.5 to 4 feet of water, And the worst thing was, because we're at the top, the current was so strong that it just forced open the doors. And the only thing that saved us, according to my husband, who was there the whole time, was the grill that we have at the front of the door. And that stopped a lot of the rubbish and big trunks of wood and rubbish like that. Otherwise, I think we would have lost a lot more.
Hotels along Nandi have also taken advantage of the change in weather and repairing the damages to hotel resources. So far, there are 31 evacuation centers that remain active in the Western Division.
The new resident High Commissioner Designate of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Mr. Molosiwa Selepeng, presented his credentials to His Excellency, the President Ratu Epeli Nailatikau, this morning.
His Excellency Mr. Molosiwa Selepeng is the first and current Botswana High Commissioner to Australia and New Zealand. Prior to his appointment, he served in the office of the President as Permanent Secretary to the President, Head of the Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet. Mr. Selepeng had responsibility over a wide range of functions, including undertaking special missions to several countries as Special Envoy and representing Botswana at various high-level international and multilateral fora. The Republic of Botswana and the Republic of Fiji established formal diplomatic relations on the 28th of June 2011 at a ceremony at the Fiji mission to the United Nations in New York between Ambassador Charles Natgawe and Ambassador Peter Thompson.
Coming up after the break, agriculture to begin rehab works tomorrow. Radio station launches new revamped website, and flood donations continue.